My name's Wendy Hayden, and I'm going to talk today about constipation and intermittent fasting. So constipation is super common when you start intermittent fasting. You're changing your diet, you're changing what you're eating, you're changing how you're eating, you're changing what you're eating, and one of the really common things that can happen is that you can start having constipation. But it's also really tricky to treat constipation when you have fasting because you can't do anything to break your fast. And if you want to avoid using chemical laxatives, which I highly recommend because most chemical laxatives can be very toxic and not good for you, it's tricky to find something that can work that won't break your fast. So there's some things that you can do that are calorie-free and won't break your fast. One of the first things that I usually recommend for constipation is magnesium. And magnesium is very helpful for constipation. Most of us are already magnesium deficient. It's incredibly common. So it's really good for you anyway to be taking magnesium. So one of my favorite types of magnesium, especially if you're fasting, to use is Omni Blue Ocean Minerals. And this is a full spectrum mineral where it is harvested from the ocean. So it's super concentrated and it has beyond magnesium, it's got potassium and sodium and other minerals. So it can be really helpful when you're constipated in general, but specifically what I like about it with fasting is that you can just add it to your water, you can add it to coffee, you can add it to tea. Now it has a strong flavor, so the trick with it is to dilute it. So using a drop or two, 3 drops, 5 drops, it depends on your taste and how much you can tolerate, but you add that to your drinks throughout the day. So if you're fasting for 3 or 4 days, or you're fasting even just on a 12-12 or a 16-hour, fast, 16-8, whatever your fasting schedule is, during that time when you're fasting, but also when you start eating again, you can still add Omni Blue to all of your drinks. You can add it to soup broth, things like that. So if you do a dirty fast and you're using broth as part of your fast, you can add the Omni Blue to that as well. So one of the tricky things with Omni Blue, like I said, is it has a strong flavor. So the real secret to that is to dilute it as much as possible. But it can just take a small amount, just a few drops to see significant improvement. And the trick with magnesium of any kind, whether Omni Blue or if you use another magnesium supplement, is that you're trying to get to bowel tolerance. So you're trying to take enough magnesium over the course of your day that your body is like, well, we got too much magnesium, we're going to let the extra go. And that can change throughout the day, and it can change depending on your regular diet. It can change about how magnesium deficient you are. Sometimes when you're magnesium deficient, your body doesn't know what to do with the magnesium and will go and just start letting it go. But then what'll happen is your body's like, oh wait, we like magnesium and we need this, and it'll start holding on to it, and you might need to up your dose. So those are things to look out for with magnesium. Another option that works really well for fasting is vitamin C. The buffered vitamin C is probably a better choice than just a regular vitamin C like this, because your stomach, without having food in it, you don't want to do anything that's going to upset your stomach. And vitamin C can be acidic. So sometimes if you have a lot of that, it can make your stools acidic. It can, make your stomach not feel great. But the buffered vitamin C is usually a really good option and won't cause any of that kind of pain and things like that. So another thing to make sure is that you're drinking enough. A super common cause just in general of constipation is being dehydrated. And when you're fasting, it can be easy to overlook how much you need to really drink to be able to keep your bowels moving. So make sure you're recording how much you're drinking every day, that you're drinking a lot of water. If you drink coffee is also a great thing that can cause a bowel movement. So for a lot of people, having hot coffee in the morning is actually what stimulates their bowels and makes them have a bowel movement. So if you're drinking coffee and now you're having to get used to coffee not using cream in your coffee if you don't want to do a dirty fast, if you want to do a clean fast or tea. One of the things that you can do to kind of take the bitter off of the coffee is to add salt to it, just a little bit of salt. And salt actually is also really helpful for constipation. What I usually recommend is Celtic sea salt. It's not bleached. It's almost damp. The salt is damp and it's filled with minerals. And so it's also got a lot of magnesium in it. It's got a lot of sodium, and you can use that to be able to achieve a bowel movement. So it wouldn't taste very great to do enough if you were just having salt water basically, but you can take warm water and dissolve salt, and you can keep drinking it until your body's like, too much salt, too much sodium, and you reach bowel tolerance and you have a bowel movement. So those are some things to look for. Another thing is when you start eating again, when you end your fast and you start eating, to look for foods that are high in fiber. Some people, if they have too much fiber, it can actually cause their bowels to slow down. So that's something to look at if you're having, like, you're changing your diet beyond fasting and you're having a lot of constipation. It could be that the fiber is too much for your body. But for some people, adding fiber to their diet is like a miracle, and is what helps them to have their bowel movements. So you need to look at that yourself and what works for you personally in that situation. And if fiber is causing problems, often that's a sign that maybe your gut's not really healthy. And so once you work on healing your gut and having a better diet, then you can increase your fiber again. So those are some things to look out for when you're eating. So lots of fluids, watch fiber, whether more fiber or less fiber helps you. Increase your salt intake, but you want a high quality salt like the Celtic sea salt. You don't want to have, iodized table salt. That is not good basically for anybody. It's bleached. It's not a very good product, and it's definitely, you don't want to have enough of that to be able to reach bowel tolerance, whereas a product like the Celtic sea salt is excellent for that. So those are some helpful things. I hope that those help you with overcoming your constipation with your intermittent fasting. If you have any questions, I have other videos on reaching bowel tolerance and magnesium that go into more depth, and I'll link them below. Thank you very much.